Now, I've had a look around. I can't see any other lions close by. That doesn't mean there aren't any sort of sleeping in the thickets behind us. Not too worn teeth yet, and that's the joy of it. Remember, this is coming to you 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. And if you've got any questions for me, jump onto Twitter, use the hashtag #SafariLive, and hopefully I'll be able to answer whatever you're asking. Oof, the thunder's just staying more and more constant. Hi Shelley. Shelley's wondering what sort of size the male lion coalition territories are in the Mara, and whether they are bigger or smaller than that of the Greater Kruger, and same with the prides. Now, I would say on average that the territories are quite a bit smaller, and that's just because of the high prey density here in comparison to the Greater Kruger. So, tired kitty. They are a bit smaller, and you can see that bulging belly of his. And the coalitions and the prides, the territories are smaller. Your average sort of pride territory in South Africa is upward of about 8,000 hectares, it's about 16,000 acres, and the male coalition territories can be massive there, 20 to 30,000 hectares. Whereas in this area, you're finding the pride territories are probably 4 to 5,000 hectares, and oh, look at him rolling over. Hello, big boy. And the males are probably about 6,000 to 7,000 hectares. Now, that all depends. Now, if you hear my camera clicking, we're just trying to get ID shots on all the lions that are here. Oh, there we go, head up, that's what we're looking for. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, I think the rain is nearly upon us, so we're going to have to get moving shortly. Edward is wondering, why does he have a small mane? Well, Edward, it's because he's a small boy. Well, he's not a small boy, he's a young boy. So he hasn't quite managed to grow his whole mane yet. He's only, I'd say, about 3 years old, and he'll only have a fully developed mane by the time he's about 5.5, 6. That's why his mane is so small. Now, just look at me once, please, mister. Or not. Oof, that thunder is nearly on top of us now. Okay guys, you know what? We're going to send you all the way back to Djuma while we run away from this storm.
I would hate for you to get absolutely drenched for no reason, so I hope you're out with those clouds, but unfortunately we've had to move out of the sighting of Shadow and her little cub. We're just going to give them a little bit of space, and we will try and... Now I don't know if where is going to be. We're going to try our absolute best and see if we can locate him again. We'll give it another bash. The leopards are moving around. So Shongile actually moved quite a distance away. She was apparently seen moving down the road following the same scent marks as Shadow, the same path that Shadow had walked. Obviously this is just hearsay as to what the other guide said to me when I got back to that site. Sorry Craig, we have to go under here. We're just dropping the aerial, and then we've got to go through in one.
Seems like the gremlins are now attacking Taylor. I apologize for that, but I'm sure she'll be fine. I imagine them like little tiny green things that come running around from behind the vehicle, and you know, it's almost like put a blindfold on the on the camera. But nonetheless, we shall carry on. I was hoping to find anything somewhere around here because I find it to be such a pretty road, but it seems like it's been slightly on the quiet side. So I'm gonna try and maybe make my way towards the boundary, towards the gate in Arathusa and Simamili, see if perhaps there's been anything on that side that would want to come back home. One can only hope. Haven't heard too much about it on the radio, but I think everyone's quite preoccupied with leopards at the moment. Beautiful. Let's see what's happening around here. Not too many tracks on the road either. We've just seen some hippo tracks, it seems, going all the way back to Buffelshoek Dam, and well, some of the tracks for those three buffalo that were happily lazing away. Here's them. Wonder where have the birds gone to? As you can see, I've pulled my jersey out. I am a little bit cold, and I'm sure the creatures are gonna start getting a bit cold soon now that the sun is pretty much on its last shining moments. It's still a while before it goes completely dark, but as you well know, once it starts going down, then it starts getting very cold. Here we are once more back at Spaghetti Junction. I always imagine there's going to be like a pot of pasta all the way over there, and it's got to be bolognese pasta in my imagination. I'm not too sure why. I think the way it hurts around here. Sorry, I thought I had maybe seen some tracks, but it doesn't seem that there's too much around here. So let's try going around this bend. In the meantime, Taylor, who's managed to
Right, here we are. Well, we're in the area where supposedly Tingana was. I can't see him just yet, and I don't know which tree he was actually in, but I'm just checking all around it because there's lots of vehicle tracks, and there's also a termite mound, and I know he was bouncing sort of between the two. But I'm trying to look for any remnants, any bones, anything like that. What did you see? What did you see? I don't know. Right, let's just keep looking around here. So I have absolutely no idea where he was. We'll just drive. I'm not really too worried about Tingana with off-roading. He's a well-experienced leopard. He's seen many cars in his day, and he's definitely seen many vehicles or heard many vehicles off-roading. So he shouldn't get up and run away. And hopefully he's going to pop his head up before I drive over the top of him, because I can't really see what I'm driving over. So we're just checking underneath all the shrubs now. Just very carefully, we're going to do a loop around this way. No, we can't. There's so many trees. Okay, we'll go this way, we'll go the long way around. I'm still just on my phone, just checking my GPS the entire time, just to make sure. Boing! Under the trees. I don't know where he's gone. Nothing in that marula tree. Little hole through that. Now, just around the corner, just trying to find the easiest route where we don't have to go underneath too many fallen trees. Of course, this is always the fun part about safaris. Ooh, sorry, Jigger. You'll be okay. You're a strong car. Oh my goodness, the elephants! They've destroyed this area. I'm just going over some dead branches of a silver cluster leaf that they've sort of pulled down. Duck under here. He could have moved though. He could have quite easily moved. So I think we'll start checking. We don't find anything around here. We'll start checking some of the roads. I did check Weaver's Nest already and there were no tracks coming out that side, but perhaps we need to check Pangolin track. Let's just stop again and just take a deep breath and gather our thoughts. Let's see where exactly we are. Okay, we need to go like that way. Right, let's go that way. Let's find the road. I've walked in here before. Herbie and I have done a really nice walk in here, if I'm not mistaken. Craig, you could have been with us. Remember that day we were surrounded by elephants? Do you remember that, Craig? No, it doesn't sound Craig's too convinced. Anyway, one day we did a walk and Craig, you were with us. And we kept bumping into elephants the entire walk. It was great. It was really quite nice. And then we actually had to do a detour through this particular section. And we popped out near near Pangolin track. Please don't get a puncture, please don't get a puncture. Oh, so sorry, Jigger, that sounded like it could be a puncture. And then we're going to have a tire changing lesson if we get a puncture. Because I'm trying to find these leopards for all of you, of course. So you'll have to grit and bear and watch me wipe the sweat of my forehead, get covered in dirt, and perhaps watch me change a tire. I feel like there's only so far you can push off-roading before eventually it catches up to you. There we go, we're not far from the road now. Remember this, we actually walked this exact same route. Here we go. And now, let's go through. Pangolin track is not far away, I think. Let me just triple check. I think it's actually up and around the corner. Whew, no. Come on, Wendy. Not Wendy, Jigjo. No, still jumping out of gear. This car likes to do that sometimes. Most of the time it likes to do that. Put it in gear and goes, haha, jokes. And then jumps back out again. So no leopard tracks just at the moment, and it's cooled down quite nicely. I don't even know what the time is right now, but the sun, trees, has turned lovely. The light has turned lovely and golden now. This is the time when the big cats are going to get active. So hopefully, if Ali's plan goes all well, she'll find the nguhumas. Now I got some information today. I don't actually completely forgot to share it with you. It sounds like those lionesses that we've seen this morning, but unfortunately it was just too crowded to get in. Craig, how are my tires looking on that side? They look like I got slow punctures. That back one a bit iffy. Craig's not convinced, and when Craig goes, you will be fine for now, that makes me a little bit nervous. I suspect we'll be changing a tire at some point, but that'll be okay. It'll be lots of fun. It'll be more exercise for the day. Right, you know what? Let's check while we're here, let's pop into the hyena den. Why not? We're right here. Maybe the hyenas are going to show themselves, seeing as though the leopards are giving us a slip. Now, Craig, if that tire is going down, you've got to let me know before I go into the hyena den. Okay, we're going to make our way into towards the hyena den and see if they're still around. I'm going to send you across to Ali very quickly before her bird flies away.
We're lucky. It did not fly away. And by the looks of it, this is a purple roller. So very similar to the lilac-breasted roller that we often see flying around. But this little one over here, although also a common bird, we don't get to see it all that often. So you see, a good way of distinguishing it is we don't have that beautiful coloration on its breast, but it's almost like the stripes go all the way down. Very beautiful. Hello. I haven't seen a purple roller in a little while, so this is good. Normally when the European rollers come, which are the migratory ones, it's almost like they push everybody away. So the lilac-breasted and the purple ones become a little bit less common. I don't know if maybe they get pushed away in there, or they're slightly shyer and retreat to other areas. But now that the Europeans are not here, then we're starting to see some of the other ones. Beautiful. So this one has got obviously a lot more purple along its body than some of the other species of roller, and that's why it gets the name. But still, pretty similar. Oh, I'm so happy you stayed there. That was really friendly of you. Oh, got a bit of an itch. I'm sure he's just enjoying the last bits of sunlight fluffing up. Fluffing up, catching all that warmth before the chilly night settles in. Beautiful. Right, let's carry on along this road. At least we managed to hopefully add a new bird to someone else's bird list, one of the pretty ones to see, and we'll see what else we can find all along the way. Wonderful. Thank you, little one. Now I'm hoping we're gonna see another really interesting bird somewhere along the way. I don't know what's happening with my words today. I was so excited in the morning that I just went quiet, and now I can't speak. I can't seem to form coherent sentences, so I'm sorry. I don't know where my brain is. Maybe my brain is daydreaming. I think that's my problem. No tracks here. Let's go around. You would think that the sun would find another way or somewhere else to shine other than directly into our eyes. I suppose this is my fault because we're driving straight west. And I was kind of hoping that we would be able to have the one tree that was going to keep it out of our eyes the whole way. No such luck. Let's see. I was hoping maybe something else around here, but not too much. John, you want to know what my favorite bird is? Well, my favorite birds are oxpeckers. So those little tiny birds that we see on top of a lot of the big herbivores, like the buffaloes and the rhinos and the giraffe, and sometimes even on some of the warthogs. And their main function is just to eat the parasites. They love the ticks, so they eat the ticks off of these bigger animals. And they're so noisy and mischievous and just all over the place that I absolutely adore them. I think they're just one of the funniest creatures out there, and I feel they're so full of personality and character. Those are my favorite ones. I would never thought if maybe there's one that comes in second place, but I don't know, maybe I should leave that door open for improvement, or you know, I'll start taking letters and see who wants the second spot in my heart. I don't see too many of them lining up for that spot. Right, the tricky, you know, this is a very good technique of driving around. It's called the hand will save me from the sunshine technique. Tends to be quite useful, especially when the sun is directly in your eyes. What is this? These are old lion tracks. Right, I am on my way to check our southern boundaries and then just start looking around there, see if perhaps any of the lions decided to come out of where they were and back into this area. I do think, however, that because the sticks were pretty much close to where we last saw them, that's why they've gone somewhere else. Ashlyn, the artist, you're wondering if any of us guides has ever been attacked by a lion or by a leopard. Luckily not. Like, we're all still here, we're all still standing. I'm sure all of us, we have been mock charged by a lion or a leopard before. The more you do this job, there's always that bit of a possibility, but I don't think it's ever been anything too serious or too much to worry about. We've never had them approach us or bite us or claw us or anything else, if that's you were wondering about. So I think the whole team is pretty safe in that regard. And we've had, you know, adrenaline injected experiences, and I'm sure we've had, all of us, we've have stories of how a leopard revved at us the one time, or how a lion came out charging, but nothing that's gone past that, as far as I know. Beautiful area. Let's see. There is something beautiful about just the sunsets in South Africa, isn't it? Look, all of this beautiful sunshine coming through the trees in front of us. I think this is one of my favorite things. The drongo flying around. I wonder, where are you all, little creatures? More leopards? Have you all run away now? Was it too much attention for one morning? That's just such a typical leopard thing to do. They'll come, they'll all be together, and I'm sure maybe one day they'll all be up the same tree, and we'll be like, oh, what's happening? And then, you know, the following drive, they'll be each one of them in their separate corner of the property and be like, what? We were never together. I think sometimes they just do that to play with us. Oh, there's a beautiful kudu. Michael, you're wondering if Shadow has been pushing further into Djuma like Shadow has. I'm pretty sure she has. We've been seeing her in the middle of Djuma pretty much with the cub, and she's been taking it up and down and all over the place. So I think now that there's a gap in territory, many different female leopards are trying to push into this area. I think maybe they're between Tandy and Shongile and Shadow. They've just been looking to expand their area. And I mean, Tandy and Shadow both have got cubs, so they'll be looking for a different area, or an area where they can expand that's going to be a bit more beneficial for them. Maybe an area where there's even less competition. Beautiful kudu. There's a very big male. I mean, look at those beautiful spiral twisting horns. I absolutely love those horns. And I don't know if you remember the South African World Cup of soccer. A lot of people were using the vuvuzelas, so those very big horns that made that awful lot of noise when you watch one of the soccer matches. But in here we've got the kuduzelas. Some of the local communities actually, because they are hollow inside, they use them and they blow them inside, and they almost use them the same way as a vuvuzela. So I've always seen the ones that are left from very big kudus, and those seem to be the best ones. I think you need a lot of lung power to be able to push through that vuvuzela, or kuduzela in this case, and make a lot of noise. I think this boy, however, has disappeared into the bush, and so will we then. Let's see. Carry on our mission towards the southern boundary. Claire, you're saying that these are very useful horns. Yes, they are, for the kudu and for us, apparently. I think he's completely gone. But yeah, you'll see them often if you come to a lot of the lodges, and because they're so pretty, you'll find them as decoration in pretty much all of the lodges, I would say. So it's one of those things that clearly captivates everyone. But they won't have the actual kudu horn, but they will have, you know, plaster made or ceramic version of just the shape of the kudu horn. Very beautiful decoration, and I like it when lodges make an attempt of using everything that's around them, or the patterns that we see in nature, just to make everything a bit more beautiful. It makes you feel like you are in a place that's a bit more authentic and very proud of where they are. It's getting a bit chilly here. Luckily we're gonna be heading into higher ground. Kristen, you say the horns look the size of a horse. Well, I don't know if that big, but maybe the size of a donkey. Maybe they'll be, if we measure it from the ground to their shoulder, that could probably be the length. Or if you mean the kudu itself, yep, I think they could be the same size of the horse. They can weigh up to 300 kilograms. They are by far the biggest antelope that we get in this particular area. There are other antelope that are slightly bigger than the kudu, but I think over here kudus are the kings of antelope. Now, what are all these tracks here on the road? I don't think anything that I should be too concerned about. I think I've been complaining about the sun, but now I'm getting cold. Let's see, perhaps we'll be able to catch a beautiful sunset today. Oh, that would be stunning. The last few days I don't think I've been able to see the sunset, and it's one of those things that I really enjoy watching. Let's see around here. You see there on the road, tiny little bird on the road. Ah, it's gone off. I don't know if you guys managed to see that tiny little thing running there. That's a button quail. So it looks very similar to a Francolin, but almost not. Where did you go? You were so tiny and pretty. Let me just quickly find it on the book for you guys and then just show it to you, because we've been here. Okay, it's a ground hornbill. For a moment there I thought that we could hear maybe a leopard calling a lion, and I was getting very excited. But I'm gonna try and go around, see if perhaps we get a bit of a glimpse of those ones. But let me try and show you this button quail before I do anything else, before I forget. Maybe this is another one we can tick off the list. There we go. Button quail. Alright, so very likely, just because it's the most common one and the one that we get in this area, we're looking at a common button quail. So, tiny little species of bird, between 14 to 16 centimeters. So I think the big one is probably, I think it's even smaller than the whole page of the book, to be honest. So they can be roughly about this big. And I think that the one that we saw running around, that's probably one of the smaller ones, one of the chicks. And it went off into the bushes, and they live among such long grass, it's very hard to see them. But I've been enjoying driving around Djuma, because they seem to be everywhere. So, we'll carry on trying to look for them. I'm sure it can hear us wherever you are. And the funny thing about them is they make such a big noise for such a small bird. Like, you'll almost think that it's coming from a hornbill or something that's probably double the size of this tiny little bird. And we did manage to see, I think, Brent earlier on this year managed to spot like tiny little chicks, and I promise you they're about maybe just a few centimeters tall. They are some of the sweetest things around. What is that around? Is that another bird? Is that a hoopoe? Oh, a hoopoe! No, don't go! Aw. Well, we had an African hoopoe down in the middle of the road. I think maybe it was busy sun dust bathing, but it's gone off into the sunset. Oh, maybe this would be a very good road to do a bit more of birding, because it seems like maybe here they're a bit more relaxed. Maybe they are warm enough and they're still out and about. Let's see, maybe we'll see another one of them around. Hoopoes are very pretty, but I'm sure it's, no, that's not a hoopoe. Come, hoopoes. No hoopoe. No hoopoe whatsoever. Alright. Let's see if maybe we can find another one somewhere around here. Hopefully we will. I think maybe the road was playing tricks on us. Lots of tiny little birds in front of us, and then all of a sudden they're gone. Ashlyn the artist, you're wondering if I've ever discovered a new species. No, unfortunately not of anything. The closest thing that I've ever come at discovering something new was when I was still doing my training at Lion Sands. I got very much into plants and flowers, and we had a year with exceptionally good rains, so I was trying to run an ID on the different flowers and just see what was around. But IDing flowers, it's such a monumental task. It's very hard because a lot of the flowers, you've got to look not only at the flower itself, but you've got to look at the leaves and how tall they are. Is it a vine? Is it, standing on its own? It looks very much like this one, but it could be this one. And then, to be honest, some of the flower guides that are available to us, they're very hard to understand, and you'll see something that you think perhaps is almost that, but not really, because then if you look at a bit more in detail, then maybe the color is wrong. And then, just to make it even more complicated, different or the same species of flower can have different colors or different color variations. So it'll be the same one, but now you're looking at a yellow one and you're looking at a white one, and you're like, oh, my hand is so dirty, and you're like, oh, I don't really know what it is. So the closest thing I ever came to discovering something new was when I was doing this ID of all the flowers that we had around, and luckily the very good friends of the owner of the property, they are botanists, so they were very much into helping me and showing me, you know, the different species of flower and so on. So I burnt a CD and gave it to them, and then they helped me with the idea with some of them, corrected the ones that maybe I got wrong, or just told me, because there were some that I was just like, oh, I've got no idea, I have no idea what this flower is. And funny enough, we managed to find, or some of the flowers that we photographed, and I think there were two in particular. Obviously, I cannot remember the name now, because why would I remember my half a second of glory? They had never ever been recorded in the Kruger National Park before, so I was super happy about it. I think it was partly because we had so much rain and we just had flowers everywhere, and I think that was in 2012. It was a very good rainy season, and there were just all of the trees that hadn't flowered for years had all of them flowers, lots of mapani pomegranates, lots of tambotis with beautiful seeds, all of the acacias, and just pretty much flowers everywhere. So I think what helped was the fact that we had perhaps a lot of the seeds that had been waiting for the right time or the right conditions to come out and flower finally decided to do it that year. So that was my only attempt at ever getting my name remembered in history. I am trying to work on a paper about leopards and my thesis, but that's you know, still in the process. It's going to be a long while. But talking about more beautiful things than perhaps writing is, look at this entangled sunset. That is wonderful. All amongst the marula tree, just the sun slowly starting to come down. I want to try going around. There's a bit of an open area in front of us, so hopefully we'll be able to have a bit of a better look over there of the sun coming down, and then I'll show you a little trick that we sometimes use to just get a basic idea of how long before the sun sets. But it's a very simple thing, but very useful when you're guiding. Right. I think if we come across the corner, we'll be there. Yay! We've come into the light. And I see lots of little birds fluttering around. I wonder if they're going to stay here for us. But look at that pretty scenery all the way ahead in front of us. Ah, we've got a hornbill also on the road, just being beautifully backlit by the last rays of sunshine. Ah, you've got dinner. Clever. Are you gonna carry on jumping along the road? Like, let's maybe have a look at the sunset. I think this hornbill has pretty much gone off, and then you see a very stunning view and very clear day today. I think because we've had absolutely no clouds, then we can enjoy not only the sun, but you know, just how far away it is from us. So the trick that I was telling you about is normally when you look at the sun and the horizon, you've got to pretty much see the distance between the horizon line and the sun and where the sun sits. So if it's one finger, or if you can maybe put 2 or 3, each finger corresponds to about maybe 10 minutes or so. So I'm looking at the sun now, and definitely there's no space in between the sun and my finger from where I stand. So I'm pretty sure that the sun is going to set, or along this very trustworthy method that I've got, that in less than 10 minutes, or in the next 10 minutes, the sun is definitely going to be down and we're going to give way to the nighttime. I know it's not a very scientific term, but it's a wonderful place for us to be in. Alright, so I just want to see if maybe I can... It seems like Taylor has managed to find some signal, so let's go over to her and see how she's batting off all those gremlins.
I'm not fighting them at all. I'm seeing if I just ignore them, if they'll eventually just leave me alone. And I think it might be working. But we are sitting watching the sunset from Cheetah cut line. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? So that's the most furthest horizon that you can see on Vuyatela, is if you come and sort of pop yourself down here on Cheetah cut line and look across. And sometimes you can even see the Drakensberg Mountains. But it's quite hazy this afternoon. But that is absolutely gorgeous. Now, I know it's so pretty on screen, but I wish you could sit here and see how really lovely it is. There's something sort of a little bit special about, it's not a little bit, a lot special, about sitting and watching the sun go down. And not a cloud in the sky, just a bit of haze. Lovely. Right, let's continue up this way. I'm not sure where Tingana's gone. I looked and I looked and I looked for him and I couldn't. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep bumbling about and hopefully we're going to find something else. It's getting nice and cool. Right. Where are those Francolins? There were some Francolins that were chirping and making unhappy noises, but I think they're too far to see them. Now, Lily, who is only you're wondering if I've ever got lost all the time. Lily, you have no idea my dramas of getting lost in the bush. I always find my way home though. I don't get lost for too long, just a little bit lost. And then I've managed and a teammate had to come and fetch me. Lost in one corner of the property. Not here, this was many years ago when I first started. I say to everybody that one to learn, and then thereafter I can remember the names of the road the previous property that I've all been working on. But there we go, just in the top of the tree Craig has spotted a bird. I'm a little bit dazed from looking across and at the sun. Everything looks very orange at the moment. And off it goes. That was a Battalier eagle, obviously looking for a spot to roost, and that must not have been the best spot. But beautiful way they fly. I love the way they just sort of hug the tops of the trees. A very unsteady flight too. Right, let's keep going. And we're just going to keep checking. Leopard tracks, lion tracks, animals alarming, waiting for something along those lines. Let's carry on. What are we going to see tonight? Bush babies. I hope we get to see some bush babies. That is most certainly an animal that I'd like to see. Right. Excuse me. Woo! All that dust. My first sneeze for the afternoon was about time. I've been waiting for it to come for quite a while now. It definitely wasn't to be unexpected. I'm actually just turning my GPS off now because it's a little bit ridiculous. Otherwise it'll drain everything, and then imagine if I do get lost and I don't have my GPS to find my way. Craig and I will starve and freeze to death out here. Okay, who have we got? Hornbills up in the road. Let's see what our hornbills are doing. I know you just saw some hornbills with Ali, so I'm going to try and roll as close as I can so that they don't fly away. But it looks like they're very busy looking for something to eat. Another one has just joined the party. A red-billed hornbill has joined the yellow-billed hornbills, hopping along the sand across the road, looking for any insects coming out of the grass and onto the open. That one has found something by the looks of it, but it was digging underneath that bit of grass. Now that's a good spot to look for insects, because if you think about it, it's been very hot today, and that's a nice shady spot. Did you see how that yellow-billed hornbill sort of came over and sort of said, hey, this is my feeding ground, move off? And the red-billed hornbill seems to be finding a lot more goodies. That's a little beetle there. There you go, just sort of crinkling it around in its beak, sort of crushing the carapace a little bit, and then all it goes in at once. Another one? What are you eating? Maybe they're even little grasshoppers or something. Although a grasshopper's pretty good, they can jump quite quickly and they've got fairly good reflexes, so maybe it's not. Maybe it's some sort of little beetle. But I can't really tell from here. Let's see. Come on, show us how you forage. Using that long beak, either pecking directly at an insect, or pecking into the ground and then sifting the sand or sifting the leaves. And that's a good technique. Hopefully something will sort of get a fright and then try and move away. And the hornbills have got fairly good eyesight too, and they'd be able to spot their prey moving about, and and they're quite nimble, and then they'll be able to catch them. Look at that one, just performing for you, jumping on all the different levels of plants. Now it's scanning like a leopard would, sitting on higher ground. Have you spotted anything, Hornbill? No? Down onto lower level again. Now there were a whole lot of them, but they've moved off the road. I think they've cleaned up all the insects that would have been around there and moved off into the longer stuff. Bye-bye, Hornbill. Into the tree it goes. But they won't be active for too much longer. They're going to go to bed soon. I'm going to go and sleep or find a tree to roost in. Let's have a look. What else? Lots of birds. We should see quite a few birds now. And I wonder if my friend Carter is watching. What do you think? I'm not sure if Carter is watching this afternoon. We'll have to go and have a look. No questions from Carter so far. Okay. Fair enough. Maybe he's got too many birds on his list now. He doesn't need my help anymore. Right. Craig, what do you think we're going to see next? Or what road do you think we should take? Sometimes you have to wait a while for Craig's response. So we'll just keep idling. Keep going straight, Craig. Yeah. Craig has spoken. We shall be going straight. Wonderful news, Chantel. Wonderful news. So Chantel's just reminding me now that we're going to be doing a school drive shortly. Ali's going to welcome them in a little bit. Not just yet. Still got a bit of time. There's still something else, but I'm hoping that we do find something interesting to show the schools. I'd like to find some more chameleons. Those chameleons last night were really quite great, but Tingana kept stealing the show. And of course I can understand that 50%, that Tingana was the star of the show last night. But you know what I do have to tell you, and I must show you pictures. Hang on, I have to do this. Remember that when I got trapped? Oh, I'm not going to be able to tell you now. I'm going to have to tell you in a little bit because we haven't got much time until school starts. So I'm just cleaning my screen in case you're wondering. Probably not, or how you should clean your cell phone screen, but it was quite dusty. Okay, so it's about hippos. Craig, if I forget, remind me and I'll tell you in a little bit about the hippos and what happened down in front of Chitwa Dam. Because it's going, and I've got pictures to show you. It was really quite interesting. Right, I'm going to send you across to Ali now. We're going to be starting school drive, so we'll see you just now.
About them, let me introduce myself. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today I've got Senzo, and over here in front of us we've got the very mighty Impala. Very beautiful common creatures of antelope. And not rare to see, we've got a herd of females. So this is what we call a breeding herd, or just a herd in general. And you can tell that they are females because they're all missing their horns. So for a lot of species of antelope, the females do not have horn, whereas the males are the ones that do. And we've got just one male with all these girls. There he goes, walking all the way behind them. So it's not rare to see just one male. We are just coming out of the breeding season where the males are going to look for the females and try to make them fall in love with them. And when the mating season ends, then it's just one boy that's going to be around with all of these females for the whole year until the next mating season starts. But look at all of them walking in a single file going away from us. I think because it's starting to get dark, they're starting to find, or they're starting to head onto probably a place, a safe place that they can find where they can spend the night. Alrighty, let's carry on. I can see the moon is out, so I'm just going to try and see if maybe we can go around the trees and have a look. It is a stunning moon that we've got today. Very beautiful. And we just had the sun go down on the one side and the moon coming up on the other side. I think maybe the trees are not really helping me right now, are they? Okay, we shall get there soon enough, so just bear with me for 1 second. And the moon that you guys see is the moon that we see. I'm gonna try and fight the moon and see if I can find a better place for us to have a look. But let's go over to Taylor, that would very much like to meet you all.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm very excited. With Ali and I are very excited to have chats with you today, and we hope that you learn a little. My name is Taylor, and if you're wondering who's bringing you the action and filming all this amazing wildlife, his name is Craig, aka Batman. Now, I was trying to figure out what is the first animal going to be that I'm going to show you, and it seems as though it's going to be in the form of a bird, and not just one, but there's a whole family of them just up ahead. Now, it looks like they're racing over to some fresh elephant dung. Delicious. It's their favorite thing. I'm going to just try and creep a little bit closer. Go stealth mode now, where we turn the car off and then we roll into the sighting. Don't run away, come back. There's a whole family of them. What are you? I can't even see what you are. You are Crested Francolin. Now, this is one of the most common bird species that we get here, and they sort of resemble chickens if you use your imagination. There are bush chickens, but like I said, they're called Crested Francolins, and that's a whole family of them. So what most likely is making that family up is mom and dad and their little chicks that will be a couple of months old now. They grow fairly quickly. They don't stay small for too long, and I suppose that's important for all the animals out here, is that they don't stay small for too long. Otherwise, it makes it more and more difficult for them to survive. But they are going out. They are what we call diurnal birds, so they are normally active during the day. And I think that they're having one last look for some dinner before they're going to find a spot, perhaps in a tree or underneath a shrub, and then rest for the rest of the evening. Although the moon is looking quite large. Tomorrow is the full moon, and they might actually be quite active. They might be quite chirpy because it's so bright out here. But off they go. I really thought that they were going to stop for an elephant dung snack, because there's some very, very fresh elephant bull tracks here, and as well as some very fresh elephant dung too. Let's try and examine and see how old this dung is. My goodness, it was a large boy. So this is interesting. I'm going to jump out the car very quickly so you can have a look. Now remember, you can ask questions, so if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask them, and I'll hopefully get them, and then we can chat. Now, the reason why I said that this is from an elephant bull is because of the size of the footprints. Let's look at a big track. There's one right over here. I often show the tracks, but here's the outline of it. There's his toenail over there, and here's his foot. And there's some bird tracks, most likely from those francolins that just walk through here, walking over here, and they'll come to this dung and peck at it because of all the insects that are attracted by the moisture that is in this dung. Now, this elephant also urinated here. You can see this big wet patch, and I put my foot like this, and it's pretty hard already. So that says to me that this was done maybe earlier in the day. If we have a look at the dung now, you can see the top half. Oh, the top is dry, but the inside is still quite moist. Look what I found, Craig. Can you see this thing here? Or is it too far away? That is a grasshopper of some sort, and it's got amazing camouflage. This one is camouflage to look like actual bits of grass. Let me see if I can catch him and see if he's going to jump, or if he's just maybe going to hang tight, and then I can bring him here. How's that distance, Craig? Is that good? I'm just trying to find my earpiece now so I can plug it back in so I can hear the questions. But I'm really not that good at using my left hand. Right, almost there. Chantal, you can now tell me anything you want to tell me. I can hear you. And it's missing a leg. Look at this. I'm going to turn it around slightly. See how it's missing one of its hind legs? So it should have 6 legs. It's only got 5. And it's missing one of the very important legs, this big one over here on this side. And it's a little bit sad, though it'll be alright. It'll be able to live without it. But that's what they use to be able to project themselves and push themselves up and into the air. And then it's also got wings. Oh, careful. Oh, careful. Steady now. I know you're a little bit unsteady. You're not doing so well, are you, fella? Come here. Come and sit nicely on my hand. I'm being as gentle as I can, but he just doesn't want to trust me. Trust me. There we go. That's a little bit. He can sit flat on my hand, and then he won't worry so much. So what I was saying is you can just see the wings just at the back, so they'll propel themselves with those big legs, and then flap their wings and to help them sort of go further. So they don't necessarily just rely on flying at all. And then I want to turn him again. Oh. Don't do silly little jumps like that. You're going to get yourself into trouble. And as we look at this funny little creature, I want to turn him around. Would you do me a favor? Sorry, Craig. I'm going to try and very gently coax him to face that way. Yes, let go. He's got little barbs on his feet. Now, Alexia, you're wondering, why is he so big? Well, not all insects get to this size. It's just because of the type of species that he is, I suppose. And he'll make a delicious treat. So those crested francolins that we just saw, it would absolutely love to feed on this thing. And hornbills will like to eat it too. Owls and nightjars, which are some birds that we might get lucky to see as it starts to get a little bit darker. But I think that grasshoppers are amazing, and there are so many different types of species. And this one is particularly pretty because when it sits on a blade of grass, it completely camouflages itself as well. Hello. Now, Aaron, you're wondering if I could repeat the name of the insect. It's one of the grasshoppers. Owen, not Aaron. Owen, sorry, Owen. I'm just trying to think. I've seen it many times. I've taken many pictures of this beautiful creature before, but for the life of me, I've completely forgotten. I think it's a grass stick hopper or something like along those lines. You know, I'm going to ask. I might actually have it in my book somewhere, but one of our viewers, Judy H., I'm sure she's still watching. Judy, I need your help if you are listening. Perhaps you could let me know if you know exactly which type of grasshopper this is. I don't have an insect book on me, otherwise I would have opened it and we would have looked together, but I have seen it many times. It's actually very common out here. But I'm going to put it back now. I think I'm just going to put it down into the grass. Whoo! Off you go. Don't you go down there, because you're going to get run over by me. I'm going to put him on the other side of the road where it will be safe. Now don't get eaten by anything. Back you go. There we go. Perfectly camouflaged on that leaf. What's wrong, Craig? You're shaking your head at me. Right, let me just fix my blankets. And sit down again. Off we go. So it's very camouflaged on that grass, also because it's getting darker. Right, car. Let's go driving. Put the lights on now. Oh, you can see lots of tracks here. Now, we're just going to find our next animal. And Blake, you were wondering, how big can grasshoppers actually get? Well, Blake, sometimes they're massive. So we get ones called elegant grasshoppers, and they're beautiful. They've got such nice colors. I don't know if I have to rummage through my gallery on my phone, which unfortunately would take quite some time before I found one. But they sort of get, if you're looking at my hand, almost to the length of my hand. Maybe something about that size or so. So quite long. So I would say probably about 10 centimeters at least. And then when they open up their wings, they get even bigger. So we get different types. So it just depends on, I suppose, the species. And then also remember, the way that grasshoppers work is that when they're born, they just look like mini adults. So they're called nymphs. So the nymphs start off as grasshoppers, and you might think, oh, that's a very small species, but it probably isn't. It would probably just be a baby grasshopper too. But we're not seeing very many of them now because we're in winter, so it's a little bit cold, and also there's not lots of nice lovely vegetation for them to feed on. And grasshoppers can eat a lot of grass and a lot of different types of plant materials in one day. I mean, there are some species that are considered huge pests and cause massive damage all over the world to crops. And then, saying that, just as bad as what they can be, I can tell you that in Africa there are so many different African tribes that actually rely on eating grasshoppers as protein, as sustenance. How cool is that? I've eaten a grasshopper before, but I could imagine that they'd be quite nice, and in areas where you can't just go to a grocery store and they have to make do with what they've got. There's actually lots of bugs out here that you can find. I reckon that grasshopper would be very tasty. But you don't want to eat grasshoppers or any insects that have got bright colors on them, because normally bright colors like reds and yellows and oranges, black, indicate that unfortunately it is poisonous. It's got some sort of a toxin in it, so don't eat those ones. Eat the plain colored ones rather. Right, we're going to keep searching. I think we're going to check the Buffelshoek Dam now and see if there's anything in there. I'm going to send you back on board, and she's got something to show you.
We've got a very beautiful shining thing to show you, and of course it is the moon. We managed to find it. It was a bit hard because there are so many tall trees that we just had to try and find a gap in between all of them. But you see, it almost looks like it's full. We are almost getting into full moon, but not yet. I think maybe in the moon phase, the full moon will just come around tomorrow. So I'm sure the moon that you're looking at is the same one that we're looking at, but make sure you try and see it tomorrow, and then tomorrow it should be even shinier, even prettier. So when there is so much light coming from the moon, you can see a lot better in the dark or during the night. Well, it's going to be less dark. So a lot of the animals are going to be moving around, and I think that the leopards and the lions are not going to have too many places to go hiding, because everyone will be able to see them better as they start moving in through the bushes. So who knows, maybe we'll get lucky with some lions or other creatures moving around early tomorrow. Isn't that beautiful? Almost looks like a spooky moon. Pavan, you're wondering how it feels to be on the safari. Well, it's very exciting, and I hope that you are quite excited to join the safari, even if it's from a virtual perspective and all the way from your classroom. But it's very exciting. You never know what you're gonna get. So you can go out every day and think, well, today I want to go and see an elephant, and then you'll see everything but an elephant. Or sometimes you'll go around and you'll drive and you'll try to follow the tracks of the creatures and try to find them, and then you will find them and you are so happy and so exciting. It's the best feeling ever. But then some other days you go out and the animals are just not there. So it's always like playing a game. You never really know what might be around every corner, and sometimes you turn around a corner and there you go, it's the best thing that you've ever seen, and sometimes you come around a corner and there's nothing. So it's very exciting, lots of up and down, and it just keeps you going, always keeps you entertained. Very pretty moon. And there it is. Matthew, I believe is your name. Apologies if I got it wrong. You are wondering how hot does it get here? Well, now it's a bit cold because the sun has gone down, and I've got my jersey on, but I'm only wearing one. So in winter, the temperature ranges quite a bit. It goes from maybe 4 degrees Celsius, and then it can be up to 29. I think that was 84 today. So it's quite a lot. So you'll go out in the morning and you'll put on, your scarf and your beanie and your gloves and maybe 2 jackets and lots of pair of socks. And then in the middle of the day, you can pretty much go into the pool and just have a swim because it's so hot. So it goes pretty much like this every day. So you never know how many things to put on and how many things not to put on. I'm sure if you ever manage to watch one of our drives in the morning, you'll see us wearing a lot more things. Beautiful moon. Lena, yes, you're wondering if we see any bats at night in South Africa. We see a few of them. We've got bigger ones, smaller ones, but we see them flying at night. I actually haven't seen one in a little bit of a while. We've got different species. A lot of them pollinate trees. So they'll go and transfer the pollen from one tree to the next and to the next, make sure that then we've got a lot more of that specific tree, and a lot of them eat fruit. We've got from tiny little things like this to much bigger bats. We don't get those massive giant ones that you see in some other parts of the world, but yeah, they are definitely around. And normally as the sun starts going down, it's a good time to try and spot them. So why don't we drive around and see if perhaps we can see something flying along the screen. Maybe we'll get lucky with a bat tonight if that's what your heart wishes to see. And let's go look for them. I haven't seen one in a while, so it would be quite nice to be able to see them. Let's carry on. I think maybe it's time to even put some of our lights on, just because I'm not too sure where the road might be taking us. And we shall see. It's been also a very windy day, so a lot of the animals have actually gone into the bushes. If you see in front of me and at the sides when we're driving, you see there are a lot of trees in this particular area. So I'm sure a lot of the animals, they go in there just to try and feel a bit warm, because I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to a forest or to a park, and normally when you walk in between the trees, and if the trees are very close by together, then it's a lot warmer than walking in the middle of an open area where there are no trees. So I'm sure everyone's starting to make their way into the night. Whoop. Hannah, you're wondering how we see the animals at night. Well, we've got the lights on the car, and that really does help a lot. And then if not, a little bit later, when I think that I cannot really see anything else, I've got a very trustworthy lamp. Let me show it to you. I'm trying to get it out, which is this one over here, which is the spotlight. So you see, if I shine the spotlight ahead of us, I can see. And it's almost like having a giant flashlight that's helping me spot things out there. But there's still a bit of light, so I rather enjoy what's left of the light, and then we'll start looking for more nocturnal creatures. But often we'll have a lot of things that come into the road, jumping into the road in front of us, which is pretty easy, and I'm sure they make our lives better. And if not, then you hear animals and then you're able to find them afterwards. Emmanuel, you are wondering if I like looking at animals. Yes, I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. That's why I do this job, because my job is to go look for animals and spend as much time as I want with all of the animals in the African bush. So I absolutely love it. I think it's the best thing in life. And I hope you like looking at animals too. I wonder, let's go maybe around here. Just trying to decide which way it might be better for us to start looking for animals. I'm hoping that we are going to have some lions walking in front of the road in front of us. Wouldn't that be cool? Hopefully. But I think maybe they're still sleepy. I don't know if there's something on the road up ahead of us, but it actually just looks like a line of elephant dung. Yes, that's what it is. Yes, we've had elephants walking around here. If you see these big piles on the side of the road, that is all elephant dung. Now, let me grab maybe one of the bowls so that you see just how big they are. They are massive. So obviously the biggest animal around will make the biggest bowls that they are. Whew, I'm falling. Whoop. Oh, this one is quite heavy actually. So, you see, it's almost like the size of my head, I would say. Very big dung, and it's still somewhat fresh. And I know you're thinking, ew, why are you grabbing poop? Well, the elephant poop is actually just grass and just dried leaves. So there's nothing really there that could be sticky or disgusting, but I would never grab any of the poop from any of the cats or dogs or any of the predators that we've got around here, because there is a lot of more dirty things in them. This is just pretty much grass, and an animal has got to make the biggest poop. So what do you guys think? Was it as big as you guys thought it would be? I think I was very impressed the first time that I saw an elephant dung bowl. Ooh. Cora, you're wondering why there's so much elephant dung. Well, very big animal produces quite a few balls of dung in one go. And sometimes, if you must see, if we have a herd, well, there's dung everywhere, all around. Trying to look for tracks as we drive, see if maybe there will be something. Jimmy, you're wondering if any of the animals come out during the nighttime. Yes, they do. We've got a lot of them that come out during the nighttime. We've got the lions and the leopards and the hyenas that move a lot during the night. Sometimes we even bump into the antelope or buffalo moving around. Elephants will move during part of the night too, and then of course there are all sorts of little things that come out during the night. So we've got a few different animals that look very much like a domestic cat, or they are the size, but they are not. They are wild and they live out here, and we love seeing all of those ones. I don't know if you've ever heard of a honey badger, which looks very much like a badger, like a normal badger, and also very rare to see. And well, we've got the chameleons. Chameleons are around. So now that it's getting a bit darker, maybe let's see if perhaps we can spot one. Whew. I've just got to untangle this quickly because it seems like this spotlight has gone for a bit of a tangling party all on its own. Ooh. Navia, you're wondering how we get so close to the animals. Well, it's been an effort for a very long time. A lot of the animals that we get to see very close, they have actually been seeing cars driving here pretty much since the moment that they were born. So they learn to ignore the cars. We drive, and if, for example, if a lion is sleeping, it'll carry on sleeping. It will not wake up. So we are lucky because they just pretty much get used to us and what we're doing, and they don't move away from us. But in some other areas, in areas where they're not used to, and they also know that we are not going to harm them in any way, then they move away. Let's see if there's anything. I'm hoping we will see something very rare tonight. Demetrius, you're wondering how we get the animals to get closer to our vehicles and if it's safe to do so. Well, we don't really get them to come to our vehicle. We don't want them to come close to our vehicle. What we'll do is, if we find them, then they'll allow us, there's a certain distance that they'll allow us to come close to. And if they're not comfortable, if we get too close to them, then they will let us know. Sometimes they shake their heads, or they move a little bit away, or they start looking at us funny. But what we like doing is just having a bit of a distance with them, and we will go to them if we find them. And sometimes if we're sitting in an area and then they come to us, then we allow them to do so, but we don't like to intrude in their space. It's not nice to do that. They don't like it. All right. You're wondering if I see a lot of animal dung in my job. Yes, and it's one of the good things, or one of the good signs that a particular animal has been around. So if you're looking for any animal and you see very fresh dung, then you know that they'll be around there, and it's a good way of knowing it. There are actually even whole books that teach you how to tell what dung you're looking at. It's called a scatalogue, from the word scat, that is another word for dung, pretty much. Maybe for a bush baby tonight. Come, little bush babies. And the bush baby is a little that is maybe about this big, that looks like a tiny monkey. Jeremy, you're wondering how I know all. I actually try to know as much as I can, and I learn every day something. To start get new things. Oh, wildebeest. There is one of the daytime creatures not too far from us, so I'm not going to shine the spotlight on it, and because I don't want to hurt its eyes in any way. So if I shine roughly in the direction where it is, it's almost like, imagine if I had this light pointed in my eyes, I wouldn't be able to see. So I don't want to do that to him, because I know there could be lions around and I wanted to have the best chance and be impartial. So let me just get past him so we can carry on our search for nighttime creatures. Bye bye. It is a gnu. Alright. Natalet, you're wondering if animals sleep in the morning and they stay awake during the night. Well, animals have very different sleep patterns than us. You see, a lot of them, they will sleep all throughout the day, like a lot of the times the lions do, and sometimes the leopards. But also, they can sleep for a little bit in the morning and a little bit at night and a little bit during the day, and then they'll move in between. So it's not like us where we go and sleep at night and then we sleep the whole night and wake up in the morning. They do it in little patches of sleep. So they'll sleep a few hours here and there all throughout the day and the night. Well, I'm gonna carry on looking for nocturnal creatures, but in the meantime, let's go to Taylor, who's found a beautiful silhouette.
We've got the tallest silhouette that you can possibly get in the world from any animal, and it is... How cool is that? Now, I promise he is real. He's just standing very still at the moment, and you can also only see half of his body because he's hiding behind some trees. But how beautiful is that? So now, you've seen lots of cool things with Ali. And finally, we have a mammal to show you, not a bird this time. Now, we saw this big male giraffe this morning. He was beautiful. But I must tell you, he's only got one eye. Can you believe that? That a giraffe, which uses its eyes the best, it's its best sense out of all its different senses, out of its hearing, out of its sense of smell, its eyesight is the one that it relies on most, and he's unfortunately only got one eye. Now, we don't know what happened to him. Many different things could have happened, but I can tell you that the big boy giraffe, the bulls is what we call them, when they start to fight, they swing their necks around, and it can be quite dangerous. You can see they've got those little things on the top of their heads. Now, those aren't horns. We call those ossicones. And ossicones, it's quite a big word, isn't it? So it's just bone. So there's no keratin coating around the top of those, which is what makes a horn a horn. And it has quite a bit of keratin, so the stuff that your nails are made out of and your hair is made out of, it's also just compacted together nicely. And when they fight, so as they're swinging their heads, those little ossicones can be quite dangerous, and you can imagine if you just have your head in the wrong place, you could get one of those into the eye, and that could quite easily cause that injury. But he's fine. His eye has healed 110%. He's still eating. He's still alive, and we've seen him twice today. And apparently there's some viewers that saw him a few months ago, actually almost a year ago, in August last year, so 10 months ago. And he's still around, he's still doing good. So how cool is that we're able to see this boy? But he is not a nocturnal creature. So he's not an animal that is very active at night time. And as we sit here and we watch him moving through these long trees now, Jaden, you were wondering, why do the giraffe have such long necks? Well, Jaden, that's so that they can reach their food. So giraffe only eat leaves. They don't eat grass, they don't eat fruit, they don't eat any of those things. They just eat the leaves on the trees. But as you know, some of these trees can get really, really tall, especially the knobthorns, the marula trees, the leadwoods. All the trees that have got the tastiest leaves get quite big. So you need to be able to reach the top, be able to reach the top of the trees. Now, Lynn, I see you are actually wondering if they eat leaves. So yes, they do. So not only do they have a long neck to help them reach the tops of the trees, they also have a very long tongue. So if you take your ruler at school and you pick it up, a giraffe's tongue is even longer than your ruler. If you divide your ruler into 3 and you add one more no, not into three, into half. So if you take a ruler and divide it into half, and you add that on to the top of your one ruler, a giraffe's tongue is 45 centimeters long. And if those leaves are too high, it'll stretch its tongue out, and it'll wrap around those juicy leaves and then pull them off and down into its tummy, where it will then be digested. But very cool, don't you think? It's not often that we get to see silhouettes of giraffe. I've been looking for silhouettes of animals for such a long time. Now, Sean, you're wondering if this giraffe smells bad or good. Let me see. I can't smell him from over here, unfortunately. I think we're a little bit too far away, and I don't think we've got the wind on our side, so there's not much of a breeze at all. It's very still tonight. It's a really beautiful evening. The moon is shining. The stars are starting to come out. So I think if we had the wind blowing down towards us, I might be able to smell him. And I have read, and people have told me that giraffes smell quite bad, but I've never been able to pick up that smell, I must be honest. There's lots of different animals out here that do smell, but a giraffe is not one that I have smelled before. I think the stinkiest creatures for me are probably wild dogs and waterbuck, which is a type of antelope, and then a wildebeest or a gnu, which is a funny looking creature. It looks like a cow and a horse and a zebra and all sorts of things put together. But let's take another look at our beautiful giraffe. And you can see he's very tall. Look at him. His head is above some of the trees. And Jacob and Tessa, you were wondering exactly that. How tall can a giraffe get? Well, a giraffe can get to about 5.5 meters tall. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I would say just, I don't know if my calculations are correct. I think it's about 15 foot, if I'm not mistaken. So very, very big. The boys get much bigger than the girls. The girls get to a little bit shorter than that. And they also weigh more. So a big male giraffe like this, he can weigh at almost probably about 2,500 pounds, somewhere around there. So there's not small animals. And can you believe that something like a lion can take on a giraffe? Isn't that crazy? Because you think, but Taylor, that's bizarre, because a lion is much smaller than a giraffe. Lions are very powerful, but it's also a very dangerous meal if a lion were to try and take on a giraffe, because what they'll do is they'll use their legs and they'll kick them. They'll chop with their front legs and they'll kick with their back legs. Now, Hannah, you were wondering how long do giraffes sleep for? Not very long. Not very long at all. And sometimes you get lucky enough you can actually see them sitting down, but they don't lay down with their heads flat. They just sort of cross their legs like a horse would sit down, and then they rest like that. So I would say not more than about 4 hours in total. They're only resting for that amount of time. So remember, they're not having to use too much energy searching for all of their food. They are just looking for leaves on trees, and at this time of the year it's very easy for these giraffes to find their food. So they just sit down and they rest. They don't also, like lions and leopards and wild dogs and hyenas, they don't have to actively hunt and store energy. Now, Lena, you're wondering if a giraffe's tongue is purple. Well, if you were to stick it out right now, we wouldn't really know. But luckily, I've seen a giraffe's tongue during the day, and yes, it is purple. Just like a chow, which is a type of dog, it also has a purple tongue. And it's important that the giraffe's tongue is dark in color, because it's very hot here in Africa. And in South Africa, today the temperature was, well, in this area that we're in now, in Limpopo, was, if I'm not mistaken, it was 87 or something ridiculous. 87 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hot, hot, hot. And we're in winter at the moment. Can you believe it? So being darker in color, it means that you're less susceptible to being sunburnt, which is quite cool. So that's why the giraffe tongue is so dark. That's so amazing. I reckon that you could take some really nice captions or screenshots of this and blow it up and put some of these pictures on your wall. I'd like to do that. I definitely would. There's photographers from all over the world that want to get pictures like this. And talking about the weather, Kaylin, you're wondering if it ever snows here. No, it would be quite funny, though, to see a giraffe with snow on its head, don't you think? Or some elephants with snow on their back. Imagine little lion cubs or little leopard cubs. I think that they would have an absolute ball rolling around in the snow. But no, not in this area, but there are some parts of South Africa that snow. There's actually a mountain range not far from here, and depending where you park on the property, you can actually see them. And those mountains, the Drakensberg Mountains, there's some sections occasions where it gets so cold that you might see some snow, but otherwise it's fairly warm over here. So at this time of the year in winter, it's the best time of the year because it's still so nice and hot, but it's not too hot that you feel like you're inside an oven. You can still wear a big jacket in the morning, gloves and a scarf, and put long pants on for the morning safari, and then by the time you get back, you could put your costume on and go for a swim. Can you believe that? And then it gets a little bit cooler in the afternoons. But I'm a bit crazy. I don't feel the cold too badly. Like this evening, I don't think it's cold as we sit here. But once we start driving, it's definitely going to get a little bit colder from the chill factor. But how great is that giraffe? Let's see what else we can find. You know what I really want to find you is a chameleon. They're one of my favorite creatures. It's a reptile. And it's the reptile that's got the very, very, very long tongue. So let's go and we'll see. Craig, do you mind if we turn the infrared off by any chance? So we've got an infrared light, but I don't want to be blasted with it when we don't have to use it. We'll put it on when we need it. Let's see what else we can find. Where's that chameleon? Now, Ryan, you're wondering, how do I spy on animals? Well, I think it's quite difficult to be able to do that because animals will be able to hear and see us much better and even smell us than what we can. Our senses are pretty useless compared to, say, that giraffe or a lion or a leopard or even an elephant. So it's very difficult. So if you have the wind in your favor, if you are downwind of an animal so it can't smell you coming, and you maybe have the sun in the direction of the animal's eyes, you might have a chance of being able to sneak up and sort of spy on them and watch them without them knowing. Otherwise, while we're in these cars, it's quite difficult because they hear us coming from very, very far away. These cars do make a little bit of noise, but they're used to it, so they don't normally run away from us anymore. We've been interacting with them for such a long time in these cars, and we basically formed a relationship with them. So they think, okay, yeah, Taylor's a pretty nice girl. She doesn't want to eat us. She doesn't want to chase us around. She gives us space when we tell her that she's a little bit too close, and she, you know, she takes nice pictures of us. I don't know, but I'm sure that's what they're thinking when they associate us with the cars, is that as long as we behave around the animals and we only do nice things in front of them, then they'll be fine. Ah, scrub hair! There's a little scrub hair running on the road. Let's see. Oh no, it's gone. It darted into the long grass, so we won't see it now. But that's a creature of the night. Let's go through here. Nicholas, you've just asked my favorite question in the whole world. You said to me if I like it out here and like looking up at the stars. Most certainly, it's one of my favorite things to do, but I wish the moon wasn't so bright tonight so that I could maybe show you some of the stars, but it's not going to work. So you could see some lights. We're actually at a big dam which is just in front of one of the lodges. So those are what all the lights are. So people can come here and stay on safari in this area. So I'm just scanning very carefully, and I apologize if I don't look back at you, just to see if there are any animals that have come down, maybe for a drink. Now, you're probably wondering, how on earth am I able to find any animals at night, because it's very dark? And TJ, you're wondering exactly that. Do you remember when Ali was showing you the spotlight? This is exactly what we use. We use lights. So what we're looking for, I don't know if Ali explained it, is with these spotlights you get a reflection off of the eyes, of the animal's eyes. And I'm sure you've seen it at home. If you maybe go outside and you take your spotlight and you shine it towards your dogs, if they're walking outside, you'll see you get that glow. And that is called, this is a big word, but I'm going to teach you something really cool. That is called the tapetum flash. So how amazing is that? That's what actually reflects that light back. And it's really nice. So that's what we're looking for, and we know exactly which type of eyes we need to find, because we can't use the spotlight on all the animals. So that giraffe, we couldn't use the spotlight on him. That's why I didn't even bother, and I thought it was so great that we had a silhouette. Now I can smell dinner cooking from the lodge. It smells delicious, by the way. Ali is still searching for all sorts of little critters that could maybe be moving around. I'm going to find you a chameleon. I'm going to try my best, but let's go and see if Ali has found you a chameleon.
No, I haven't yet. I haven't been able to find a chameleon, and I've been trying really hard to find one. I think maybe my spotlight is not working the way it should, or maybe my eyes are not open enough. So sometimes it's easier to spot them during the night than during the day. Jordan, you're wondering if chameleons are small. Well, it depends. Some of them are small. Here in South Africa where we are, we only get one species, and it can get almost the size of my hand. That's the biggest one that I have ever seen. But normally they're maybe about this big, I would say. But in different parts of the world, and you will get different species of chameleons with different colors and different sizes. So I'm not too sure where in the world you find the biggest one. Maybe that'll be interesting to find out which is the biggest chameleon of them all. Rebecca, you're wondering what chameleons eat. Well, they eat insects. So they've got that very long tongue that they take out, and it's a very sticky tongue. And a lot of the times when they find something to eat, so it'll be like this. If this is what they're eating, their tongue will go like this, and then it will come almost like out like this, and then it grabs and whoop, pulls it back into the mouth. It's almost like got like a cup at the top and pretty much sucks everything back in. But not too many little things for them to eat around at this time of the year, so everybody's almost going to hibernate. Natalyn, you're wondering how many colors can a chameleon turn into? Well, it depends on where it lives. The chameleons that we get here, they only turn into a few different colors. We've only got one species of chameleon, and it can turn into shades of black, brown, green, and gray. Well, white. And they can't turn into doesn't look the ones that can turn into all of the colors of the rainbow. I wish our chameleons did that, but unfortunately they do not. They stay into certain colors. What is that on the road? We've got one of the nocturnal birds. A bronze-winged courser. Off, flying away. Bye-bye. It was good to see you. At least we saw one of the nocturnal creatures. One of the nocturnal creatures with us. Let's see, maybe we'll be able to see something in the last little bit. If not, it has been wonderful having you all on board today, and I hope we will see you again sometime soon for another exciting day out exploring the wilderness of Africa. One of my favorite things, or my favorite thing to do in the whole wide world. And I hope it'll become yours too. Right. There's always a chance of finding a pangolin. If you're wondering what a pangolin is a very, very rare creature that looks like a giant artichoke. But very easy to see. Right. It's time for us to say goodnight, but we'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, for our sunrise safari.